Before operating a lift truck, you must make an inspection of all systems and controls to ensure that they are working properly. Federal OSHA states that industrial trucks must be examined before being placed in service and shall not be placed in service if the examination shows any condition adversely affecting the safety of the vehicle. Such an examination shall be made at least daily. Where industrial trucks are used on a round-the-clock basis, they shall be examined after each shift. Defects, when found, shall be immediately reported and corrected by authorized and trained technicians. In addition to federal OSHA requirements, regular inspections can reduce downtime and service costs, increase productivity, monitor truck performance, and ensure safe operation. Improper maintenance accounts for 6% of all injuries involving lift trucks. At the beginning of each shift, inspect your truck using a checklist. Here's a typical example of an inspection checklist. Make sure you cover all the items on the list, checking as you go to be certain all systems on the lift truck are functioning properly. Your truck may be equipped with additional items than those on the checklist. Make sure you inspect these items both visually and operationally as well. An inspection won't take long, and it is a very important part of your job as an operator. A typical inspection should begin by performing the walk-around segment first. Start by looking around the lift truck for loose or missing bolts, debris or dirt buildup, and underneath the vehicle for signs of leaking fuel, oil, or engine coolant. Examine the overall condition of the frame, checking carefully for cracks, severe rust or corrosion, or other damage. Next, check the tires and wheels. Look to see that the lug bolts are all present and tight. Cushion tires may have cuts, pieces missing, foreign objects embedded in them, or the rubber may have separated from the wheel. Also, look behind the wheels where foreign objects like wire, plastic strapping, or string tend to collect. The air pressure should be checked on air-filled pneumatic tires using the guide in the operator's manual for the correct inflation. Remember, a damaged or underinflated tire will decrease the stability of a lift truck. Next, check the forks. The forks must be level. One tip should not be higher than the other. The forks must be evenly spaced and the fork pins operational and locked in place. Look for drilled or flame-cut holes in the forks or unauthorized weldments. In addition, look for any excessive wear or cracks in the forks and hanger brackets. Follow this by checking the mast, carriage, and load backrest extension for bending or twisting damage and for any loose or missing bolts. Check the lift chains for wear, broken links, and missing pins. Proper chain tension is very important as it will prevent uneven lifting. It should be verified by applying manual pressure to the lift chains with a block or board. Avoid placing your hand in this dangerous pinch point area. The chains should be well lubricated. Inspect the carriage and mast for loose rollers. Check the tilt and lift cylinders and their hoses. They must all be free of hydraulic fluid, which would indicate a leak. Use a piece of cardboard to check for leaks. Hydraulic oil under pressure can pierce your skin and cause serious injury. Never place your hand over hoses and fittings, and never grab or shake a hydraulic hose with your hand. Make sure the mast channel is free of foreign objects, such as pieces of wood or wire. Look for any damage and loose or missing mounting bolts on the overhead guard. Examine the overhead guard for drilled holes or welded brackets that were not provided by the lift truck manufacturer. Engine checks for internal combustion machines can begin with a look at the various fluid levels: engine oil, brake fluid, and radiator coolant. The engine coolant level can be checked by looking at the recovery bottle. Never remove the radiator cap. Fluid in the radiator is under pressure and could cause injury. You should also check to see that nothing has covered the fan side of the radiator grill. Inspect the belts and hoses. It is important that they are not frayed or worn. The air filter should be checked. A dirty filter will cause the lift truck's engine to run less efficiently, thereby increasing the emission of toxic exhaust gases. Also, inspect the engine hood latch to make sure it secures the hood when closed. Internal combustion engines that are LP powered require some special attention. Before starting your check, make sure you are wearing protective gloves and eyewear. Make sure the LP container is properly mounted, the tank positioned on the alignment pin, the container restraint brackets are locked, and the tank fits within the profile of the truck. Check the date stamped on the LP tank. It should not be 12 years or older. Also, check the LP container for dents, nicks, and cracks. Check the connectors and hoses. Then, as you slowly turn the LP container valve to the on position, listen and smell for any gas that might be escaping from the delivery system. If you detect a leak, it can be located by applying a soapy water solution to the suspected area. Even a small leak will produce identifying bubbles. Do not touch this area with your bare hands. The extremely low temperature of LP gas can severely burn you. Before you operate a battery-powered lift truck, the battery system must be checked. To do this, open the battery compartment and check the electrolyte levels. Add water to the cells as needed to correct low levels. Make sure to use water that has been determined acceptable for filling batteries. Remember to wear protective equipment such as face shield, glasses, rubber gloves, and an apron if you service or replace batteries. This includes checking electrolyte levels in the battery. In addition, you will need to check that the battery connectors and cables are clean and free of cracks and frayed or exposed wires. And check to see that the battery is secured and locked in place by the battery restraint system. Lastly, check that the capacity plate and all warning decals are legible and in place. Make sure the correct operator's manual is on board and see to it that the operator's compartment is free of any loose items, debris, or grease. With these visual checks completed, you are now ready to make the operational checks. To enter the operator's compartment, squarely face the side of the lift truck. Grasp the assisted grip with your left hand, the seat hip restraint with your right hand, and step up with the left foot to get on the truck. Avoid grabbing the steering wheel. The steering wheel has a certain amount of play that could cause you to lose your balance. The seat belt should latch properly and should not be frayed or torn. Sound the horn and make sure other warning devices and floodlights on the truck are operational. Make sure the hour meter is functioning. Make sure the parking brake is on and the directional control is in neutral. Start the engine. Listen for any unusual noises as the engine warms up. Check the fuel level. Don't take a chance on running low in an area where it is hazardous to change the LP container, add gasoline, diesel, change or charge batteries. Next, check the vehicle's gauges. A list of the most common gauges and indicators and what they monitor can be found in your student workbook and the lift truck operator's manual. After making sure there are no overhead obstructions, check the mast movement by pulling the lift lever to fully raise and lower the forks. Tilt the mast back and forth to its full limits, making sure as you do so, the hydraulic movements are smooth and complete. Make sure the tilt cylinders move evenly. If your lift truck is equipped with a hydraulic attachment, check its operation. Check the service brakes. Depress the brake pedal with your foot and hold it for 10 seconds. During this time, you should feel firm resistance and no sponginess. Check that the park brake engages and disengages properly. Electric-powered lift trucks can be taken through the same operational checks in a similar manner. On electric-powered vehicles, there is another form of braking called plugging. Plugging is when you slow or stop or change directional control by moving the directional control lever to the opposite direction while keeping the accelerator pedal depressed. You can plug in either direction. When you change the directional control, the control panel senses that the drive motor is turning in the opposite direction of where the lift truck is supposed to go, and the panel goes into the plugging mode. If you need to stop the truck immediately, always use the service brake. When you are satisfied with the brakes, have checked the steering, raised the forks 4 to 6 inches, and tested the lock to lock. Then, while driving forward about 10 to 12 feet, check the steering for any binding or play. Finally, most Mitsubishi forklift trucks are equipped with an integrated presence system. This system is activated when you get off the seat. Truck traction and hydraulics are disengaged, preventing unintended movement of the truck and the hydraulics. In addition, an audible alarm will sound if you do not set the parking brake. The system includes a seatbelt warning system that tells you to fasten your seatbelt. Part of your operational inspection is to make sure this system works. If your inspection reveals any items in need of repair, report them to your supervisor. All repairs should be made by authorized personnel only. The truck should be locked and tagged out of service until the repairs have been made and checked. And remember, never operate a lift truck in need of repair. You could injure yourself and others by doing so. This is the end of Part 3. Please review the information you've been given and complete Part 3 in your workbook. When you are done, continue your training with Part 4 of this program.